Woody Allen's later films tend to be polarizing, and A Rainy Day in New York is no exception. It's the kind of movie you'll either love or hate. Spoilers ahead. This film marks what could be Allen's last New York project, before his focus shifted to European productions. If you're familiar with Manhattan or Annie Hall, you know that Allen's directorial style is deeply intertwined with this city. The cast is notable, featuring Timothee Chalamet, Elle Fanning, Jude Law, and Selena Gomez, among others. However, the performances are a mixed bag. Chalamet, for instance, seems to be channeling Allen himself, so much so that his delivery feels more like an imitation than a genuine portrayal. While Allen penned the dialogue, Chalamet's line readings can come off as mimicking the director's own mannerisms. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know I'm generally not a fan of narration, and this film doesn't change my mind. The protagonist's pretentiousness and privileged angst are hammered home excessively, detracting from the narrative rather than enhancing it. On the upside, Selena Gomez delivers a surprisingly strong performance, despite her limited screen time. The story itself is fine. I'll admit it, I prefer this film over Allen's subsequent works. Its New York setting is a saving grace, grounding the film in a city that Allen portrays with a comfort and familiarity that's evident in every shot. Most of this credit goes to his director of photography, Vittorio Storaro, whose work here is visually stunning. As for the plot, it's weak, but not without its charms. The subplot involving the protagonist's mother as a former escort is a nice touch, and while the pacing is brisk, it sometimes borders on implausible, like when characters summon cabs that appear instantly. The film also leans heavily on coincidence, particularly in the scenes involving Gomez's character, where everything falls into place a bit too conveniently. The runtime is just right. It neither drags nor feels rushed. That said, it's somewhat jarring to hear a 20-something-year-old character speaking like someone from Allen's 1980s movies, though this makes a certain sense given the character's pretentiousness. Ultimately, whether you enjoy this film comes down to your opinion of Allen's work. If you're not a fan of his style, this film won't change your mind, or if you don't like him for more than obvious reasons. However, if you generally appreciate his films, you might find yourself overlooking its flaws. It's far from his best work, but it's also not his worst, a notable achievement for a director with over 50 films under his belt. The film has a certain hurried feel, almost as if it were shot on autopilot, a reflection perhaps on Allen's extensive experience. Some might see this as playing it safe, akin to a seasoned chef preparing scrambled eggs. There's a method to it, but it's hardly innovative. Yet, there's something nostalgic and contemplative about it, particularly in its depiction of a rainy New York, a city that feels both beloved and elusive. The love story at the heart of the film is thin, and the commentary on the rich complaining about their wealth while refusing to part with it is more intriguing than the romance itself. As for rewatchability, this is a tough call. If this type of film appeals to you, it might score around 70%. But if Allen isn't your cup of tea, the score will just plummet to the single digits. In the end, A Rainy Day in New York feels like a well-crafted comic strip, amusing enough to enjoy, but unlikely to leave a lasting impact. It's beautifully shot, well acted, and set in a city that Allen knows intimately. As always, thank you for watching. See you next time.